Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. I think it's Thursday. Nice to see you all. Please do put a little hello in chat. Let me know that audio works, that you can see me okay, and that there isn't some sort of unknown disaster behind me on the webcam. Hi, I'm Jonas. I'm the community and events lead at Into Games. Can you believe it? I actually had to just read my own bubble on the screen because I was like, wait a second, who am I? Thanks for joining us. If you're not aware of Into Games, maybe this is one of your first times seeing one of our sort of events and live streams. Into Games is an organization that works incredibly hard to try and make the games industry more accessible to everyone in the UK in terms of sort of getting a career in the games industry, with a particular focus of looking at people from low-income backgrounds who might not have had access to further or higher education or certain resources or the right games consoles and technologies, etc., looking at those people from those backgrounds and saying, well, how can we make certain resources and certain sort of training opportunities more accessible? And so we do a number of different things over at Into Games. Some of those things are sort of, we've got a community over on our Discord. So we have 9,000 game developers in there, many of them working full-time in the industry today, and many more, maybe like yourself, working hard to try and get their first get their foot in the door with that industry. And there's a lot of knowledge sharing. There's a lot of sort of telling each other about events and opportunities and jobs and internships and careers resources. And another one of the things that we do are events like this, where we do these live streams. Some of these live streams are about knowledge sharing, sort of really looking at the industry or jobs and sort of saying, like, how can people get certain skills or certain knowledges, and demystifying. And today in particular, we're doing portfolio reviews, which means we're going to look at a couple of individuals who have submitted their portfolios to Indie Games. Looking at specifically, we're looking at sort of audio, gameplay audio, SFX, sound design, that sort of stuff. And by giving sort of feedback on these portfolios, obviously that will be really useful to those people who submitted the portfolios. But what we're really interested in doing as well is looking at some of the key traits of, what do we see in good portfolios, and therefore what should you, a potential sound designer, implement in your portfolio, and in particular what lets a portfolio down, in which case it's a correction for those individuals, absolutely, but to just anyone else it gives you this really good idea of like common do's and don'ts in audio reels, portfolios, etc. And one of the third things we do, which is particularly relevant to today's event as well, is we do these sort of sprint courses. The idea of a sprint course is it's a course lasts 3 weeks. It's in your evening, so if you've got a full-time job or full-time education, you can come home, sit down, jump into the course, all fully digital, and sort of by the end of the course, you'll have something to show for it, some piece of work or something kind of, I say physical, I mean physical in a digital sense, you know what I mean? But you'll have something that you can then either add to your portfolio, or you can very much sort of use to strengthen further applications in the future. Now, one of those sprint courses coming up next month, the month of October, is going to be very specifically in the sort of audio realm, and it's going to be led by a particular individual. Now, that individual's name is Greg Lester. Greg Lester is a sound designer working for Sound Cuts Limited, and is also one of the co-founders of the Air Wiggles community. It's a community specializing in audio experts, audio work, all this noisy stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know the technical terms, but you know who does? Greg Lester. So I'm going to bring up Greg on stage now. Hello, Greg. How are you doing?
Hey, everyone. Great to be here. And thank you for having me, Jonas. I really appreciate it. And I'm super excited to check out some of your portfolios and reels, and hopefully give some constructive and good feedback. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing them. I know that it can be scary. So yeah, appreciate you being open.
Absolutely. No, yes. Huge appreciation for everyone who has submitted a portfolio today. When we get round to looking at them, we'll do our best to sort of, we'll have some details about who you are, because you will have put them in the Discord, and Greg will be the one sort of giving you some excellent feedback. Because what do I know? If I'm describing an entire community as the noisies at a professional level, you know that you can't trust me to review an audio portfolio. But first, Greg, before we start, I thought it would be really good just to get a little bit of a sense of, so firstly, could you just tell me, and tell our audience, I suppose, actually, because I know, do you want to just tell us a little bit about who you are outside the context of today's event? What brought you to sort of this event? What's your sort of background in audio? And then I suppose specifically, let's talk a little bit just about the sprint course as well, because obviously that's a large amount of context for why we're talking today.
Yeah, sure thing. So I am a sound designer by trade. So I work making the assets that go into the games, the sound assets. I don't do much music at all. So my expertise is really anything that makes sound and isn't necessarily melodic or structured. And I do a lot of implementation as well. I would describe myself more as a hybrid sound designer. I love that term. It's not coined by me, but by some cool other smart people. And that means that I kind of touch both the engines and middleware and also the DAWs. But I'm not a technical sound designer by any means. I'm not good enough or technical enough for that. So yeah, but I'm a little bit of both. I know kind of how to get stuff in game and do some logic and everything. And that's really important as well. And that is important as well to learn, especially when it comes to middleware. And so in the spring course, actually, what we'll be doing is we'll be creating a interactive magic system. That means we'll be recording, sourcing, designing assets, and figuring out the audio direction, kind of how should they sound. And then we'll be taking those, bringing them into Wise, which is a very popular middleware that we use in games a lot. It's the one that I use the most in my professional career. Kind of probably about 80% of projects I work on, I use it. And we will be building this magic system within Wise so that you can trigger everything. It will have like adjustable parameters and everything. So it's really interactive. And as Jonas said before, it's digitally changeable, if that was the word, or not physically, but digitally. And yeah, so it'll be really cool. And it's over the course of 3 weeks, you'll basically learn the whole process of what I do most of my day in terms of sound design and bring it into the middleware. We won't go the next step into the game engine because that's a little bit too far, but in my opinion, that's actually a better way to learn by just sticking in the middleware for now. And then it's really easy to do the last step and plug it into the game engine with a technical sound designer. So yeah, that's kind of where I usually, what my day-to-day looks like. So you'll be joining me basically on my day-to-day through this feature and designing sound all the way, bring it into middleware. Apart from that, my background, I've got just over 5 years of experience in game audio professionally, studied it as well, or rather like music production and stuff like that. And yeah, there's also a site that I make called Game Audio Learning, which is the first thing that I would love to jump into right now, because when we are looking at portfolios, a lot of people aren't really sure where to start. And especially when it comes to Reels, I have put together some resources that will hopefully be helpful to you. So if we just jump into it. So this, Jonas just put it in the chat kindly enough, but it's basically gameaudiolearning.com. And then we go to Reel Reviews. And here we have some things. So I've got a little section about getting feedback on your reel. Basically, it's really important to get feedback on your work because it allows you to get better. So you're here, you know that. I have been doing a little series called Reel Review. It's similar to Kevin Regami's Real Talk. And if you aren't aware of that, that's amazing source. Big up to Kevin Regami. And yeah, basically it's got 15 episodes now on YouTube. There's a lot of time guests. Last time during the Aircon one, we had Sean Harris, who's worked on Jedi Survivor, Need for Speed Unbound and stuff. So yeah, really like high quality feedback from pros. So you can submit to these. There will be essentially on Airwiggles in the audio creation space. I'll post under Reel Review, and no post yet because I'm just switching to that system now. But in that, basically, you'll then be able to post in the comments, submit your reels there. However, there is some things that you want to make sure you're doing before you submit a reel, just because a lot of the time I see reels that are kind of like wouldn't necessarily fit in the slot of what would be a acceptable kind of for hiring and for giving off to a hiring manager. So this little setup guide will will really help you out in knowing how long your reel should be, what kind of content should be in there, kind of all these basic things. So I really recommend just going through this, reading this, and how to prepare, reading this little guide. And on top of that, we've got a couple of resources. So I've already mentioned the Reel Review series. Recommend watching some episodes of that because it's similar to what we're doing today. You're going to hear a lot of reels. You're going to get a feel for what kind of quality does my reel need to be for the people who are kind of like submitting. Where do I stand in all of that? So that's always good to know. And also just what kind of feedback are other people getting, because you'll learn loads from that as well. Then Lewis Thompson has put together this really good article, which again, highly recommend. Short read, but really good, on some essential tips for your show reel. So Lewis has done a couple of these with me as well in the past, and we hear a lot of reels and we hear a lot of like audio work in general, and these are just some really good tips to get you ahead of the game. And then we've got free high quality sound libraries. So I'm actually just gonna switch tabs quickly here and load this, because What this is, essentially, it's a site called We Love Indies, and they provide sound effects that are really high quality. And you can actually use them for free as long as you're using them for non-commercial purposes, music as well. And they come from Boom Library. Boom Library, incredible industry standard libraries. So yeah, really good stuff here. And it's run by Andreas. And yeah, basically highly recommend going on here, weloveindies.com. And that way you can get better assets into your games, into your show reels, and that will just massively improve the quality, because a lot of the time what I see is that people know how to put things together, but they don't necessarily have good source material. And so this will be a massive help. On top of that, I can also just recommend Soundly, which does charge a subscription, but they have an incredible base library, and it's $15, I believe, or $19 per month. And yeah, it just gives you access to a huge library rather than having to kind of like piece everything together. Lastly, I've mentioned it already, but we have the audio creation space here on Airwiggles. I'm going to switch tabs again. Basically, Airwiggles, as Jonas said earlier, it's a place for audio people. You can join and then simply navigate down here to the audio creation space, or just make a post on the home feed, and you can select a topic, so sound design or music, and then simply put a title, add a video, and you'll see loads of different reels here and work, and people are giving comments and giving feedback. And yeah, it's really useful. So great place to post your stuff. The one rule we have is that if you kind of add a reel for people to look at, we would appreciate you if you add 2 comments to another reel and for feedback, because that way we always have abundant feedback for everyone. So yeah, that's the big thing. And without further ado, let's actually get into looking at some portfolios, starting with Tan. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I really apologize if not. So first off, when I'm looking at a site like this, first thing that I want to know is I want to make sure that I can find everything really easily. So having your show reel at the front and center, fantastic. That is, the fact that it's a YouTube embed is really good. The fact that I can see your name here, what you do, is also amazing. The other thing is, I get a lot of questions in terms of sound designer and composer and technical, and should you be a generalist versus a specialist. Personally, the very, very oversimplified opinion from me is that when you are applying for jobs that are either AAA companies or specific companies that you're working with a team, then it's better to have a single role and be more specialized. So sound designer or a composer or a technical sound designer, and focus your reel on that. Because usually you will be a little bit, you will outshine the competition if you focus on one thing. However, if you're doing more indie stuff, which you will be doing at the beginning, then it's fine to have lots of different hats on. So that's the general gist. But if I'm looking at this from a perspective of, I want to hire for, say, a AAA company or stuff like that, then looking at this is great. So we've got sound redesigns. This is excellent. Main show reel here, and then all the redesigns. So this is really nice, because if I like the show reel, then I can see more. And the show reel, for anyone who doesn't know, it should be around a minute 30, not to waste anyone's time, because we might have to look at, I don't know, anywhere from 20 to 150 show reels, and if everyone is 3 minutes, it's going to take ages. So a minute is good, and usually at about 20 seconds, even earlier, 10 seconds, I know if someone's like yes or no usually. But yeah, if I like it, then I'll look down here. So this is excellent. And then we've got the about section. Yeah, excellent. Also short and sweet. Great stuff. And CV download, amazing as well. Projects. Again, very nice. Implementation stuff, great as well. Really good. and blog, nice to have as well, that you're contributing to the community. Hey, I was there. And contact, of course, very important. Cool. So overall, honestly, this just a layout perspective. I won't go too much into depth just because of time with every single one of these. But from a layout perspective, this is really what I'm looking for. You can obviously get more creative with it. The main thing is that as an employer or a hiring manager or someone just looking at these reels, I want to be able to find everything very easily. So just make sure that it's like as little clicks and scrolling away. And when it comes to links as well, the best thing is always YouTube. Vimeo, I know, is sometimes better for audio. However, it often requires you to log in. And if that's the case, I'm just kind of like, I don't even want to deal with it because then I have to log in. It's going to take me a while, etc., etc. So personally, my favorite is YouTube embeds. If you embed it into the site directly, that can be dangerous simply because the quality might suffer due to it reducing quality for loading purposes. So yeah, just go with YouTube like Tan did. Right, let's listen to this. Very nice. Great stuff. Really good stuff. So because of time, again, I'm not going to go too detailed. What I usually do in my reel reviews is select 3 and then go full hardcore for an hour. So in this, we'll do a slightly reduced one. So I won't dive too much into the nitty gritty, but give more overall responses. So generally, the intro is really cool, but it's a bit long, and I don't. 5 seconds might not seem like much, but it's almost like it's not adding too much, and it's not like the most insane audio. So I would almost feel like put this at the end or kind of leave this out, just because just want to get straight into it and want to get hit with that all the juicy audio stuff. Yeah, like it's cool, but it's not crazy, and there's a lot more interesting sound design stuff in here. And when I'm hiring, I want to hear like the best sound design possible. So by using every second of it is like really important. Another thing is some people leave silence at the beginning. You haven't. This is great. Make sure there's no silence at the start. Cool. Then overall, this is great. You've got the lower thirds, name of the game, studio, and then what you did. I think the one thing here is just it's all there. Might just want to like use a different color or something for what you did or for the name or something like that, but that's a really small unnecessary detail. Overall, you've got some really good stuff in here. The main thing I've noticed is there is a lack of transients. So when we're getting a lot of these big impacts, we're not quite hearing them. So I would love to hear overall more transients in your redesigns. So on the initial impacts and stuff, just boost those transients, bring in some more like impactful material, some layers. Another great tip is to use transient shapers. There's one called Crack. which is free, or I believe the kilohertz transient shaper is, I think, also in the free bundle. So yeah, use transient shapers, boost that attack. You can take the sustain out as well, and to just make it cut through. If you have explosions or stuff like that as well, a good thing is to have like a rhythm in it, and you can even have like a chicka boom or something like that, and create like a tiny bit of silence or duck the mix before it happens to make it more impactful. Let's look at an example. So that's more of a slice that works pretty well. Yeah, so here, for example, on those impacts, I would love to hear bigger transients, and then especially on the explosion, more of that as well. This especially. So the hammer, I would love to hear a huge all of that. So basically, a little bit more details and longer tails on those as well will be really nice. I'm gonna put my headphones on just for spatialization, because I have my speakers and they're pretty good, but it's easier to check spatializations on headphones. Yeah, this is awesome. Spatialization is sounding good. It's mainly also here again when he comes down into the ground for the impact. Again, bigger transient. Another transient here when he goes down. So it's really, that's the main thing. But the sound design and all of that is really, really good. Yeah, a great. Again, having your end card here is really good as well. Just to have that, I would love to hear something on that, just because it's just silence. So what you can do is you could keep playing the tail of this, and have it like fade out or something, or have like a reverb tail or something like that, just so we don't just end up into pure silence. This is also another tip for the start. So what you can do as well, instead of having your like these little ident and logos that people spend way too much time on, in my opinion. Again, not to be harsh at all, because it is kind of cool. But I would almost just have this at the start for like 2 seconds and fade in the first clip. Of course, you've chosen something that like goes in here at like transient, but if you have like maybe start with a more ambient clip or something that doesn't immediately go into a transient or something, then you can fade the ambience in, have your credentials there, and then you go into the first redesign, and that way we're like eased into it nicely. So yeah, just another thought. Overall, excellent portfolio, great stuff. And yeah, just those small improvements really. Right. Next up, we have Charlie Leslie. This is a very cool creative layout. I like this a lot. So once again, navigation here is great. I think that's really cool. Sound design and composer, nice. Style is cool, very unified. Do these buttons work? They do. Brilliant. Yes, Skrillex. Yeah, good stuff. Nice, short and concise. Pretty good. Picture is nice as well. Software, cool. Yeah. This is an interesting one. So I'm curious how good you are with each of these, because I know for me, like, that I wouldn't necessarily say that. So I can't do Unity C#, for example. I can do basic blueprint stuff, but more meta sounds. Wise, definitely specialized. Like DAWs multiple is fine. C++ again, I think so. The main thing is this is good to have. But yeah, kind of I would put on there what you would probably be comfortable with, like being able to jump into and really work with if you were prompted right now, like to solve a problem. And I think sometimes putting too many things on there might then look like, oh, kind of we're checking the boxes. But I wouldn't change it necessarily. Just a little note. Sound awesome. Are these embedded? Yes. YouTube embeds. Great. Excellent. That's good. I think here what would be nice is to, do they have more info on the embeds? No, they don't. Okay. Cool. So what would be nice here is to have a little bit of info to know what are these. So game world surfaces, what did you do here? Did you do implementation, all of these stuff? So just basically adding little subtitles and some whatever it's called. Yeah, text to explain what this is. Music. Ooh, Air Wiggles music competition. Very nice. Yeah, this is cool. Let's check out the show reel. Nice. Cool. So, Charlie, first off, website-wise, we're looking really good. Reel-wise, if you're applying to studios, I would highly recommend to add in more cutscenes and stuff. Overall, love the fact that you're doing your own projects and your own implementation and all of that. That is fantastic. However, what I would do in this case is add it to your section of the playthroughs below. And it's the same as Tan did. Basically, have your show reel be your best sound design. And for that, usually just having linear trailers and linear gameplay that you redo, like this clip, because there you can really showcase that you are incredible as a sound designer. It's a lot harder to showcase that with something like this, where there's just not much going on. And for example, here, I would say there's sparks missing and the coin and all of that. So and that might be that you didn't have time for that. All, maybe it was game jam. Also, the fact that the graphics aren't necessarily super amazing, that usually can kind of bring down the sound a little bit as well, because it's very tied to the visuals, of course, as well. So I would say with this reel, my biggest recommendation would be get a couple more of gameplay and trailer clips. And a mix is important as well, because trailers are definitely different than gameplay clips. So I would have like 1 or 2 gameplay clips, 1 or 2 trailer clips, and basically just redesign them similar to here. I can see that your sound design is really good and that you've got the chops, but I want to hear that in more examples, because I wouldn't be confident to say after hearing this, oh yeah, you're a great sound designer, like you on our team, versus after hearing another couple of these, say, you know what, damn, this guy is great. Let's interview him. As far as the intro goes, that's pretty cool. And yeah, let's look at this clip in a little bit more detail, and then we will move on. Nice. Yeah, really cool stuff. Generally, all the things are there. There's just a couple of small, tiny details that I would love to hear. For example, on the lightning, you've got like the distortion, but it would be cool to hear more in-world stuff. So like sparks and like more high-end. Another with that, at the moment, you've got a lot of sounds in stereo. If you want it to sound more worldized, make it mono or bring down the stereo image to be more centered. That way, it will feel a lot more grounded in the world. Same here, kind of like it would be cool to hear some more mechanical stuff and movements, maybe more higher, like specific whooshes that are like cutting through a bit more on the punches. The little stop before the silence before the laser is really cool, or the electricity rather. And then here just like a little bit Foley moving the arm up, and maybe also like a transient for when you're like that something's activating. Overall, great work. Again, just more of these clips into this reel. The time is pretty good. So just a couple more like these, and then you are looking really, really good. So yeah, great work, Charlie. And I'm a big fan of your layout here, of your design. This is super cool. So yeah, just get your show reel up and add some more descriptions to these, what they are and what you've did. Sweet. Also, if you've done implementation, you can do sound and implementation, or separate them into sound and implementation for redesigns and implementations. Sweet. Next up, we've got George Pack Sound. Cool. You will see a trend as well. All of these, you've all got your sites really good already. And again, show reel at the front. I know it's not like the most creative thing, but it just works. It's very easy to then find everything. Additional sound design, great stuff. Yep. Yeah, here, nice little description. Good. And yeah, not overcomplicating it. Email at the bottom. Game audio stuff. Implementation here, excellent. Brilliant. This is great. I love that you've split this into different things and made them really, really easy to see. This is fantastic. Narrate to technical.
Hi, I'm George, and recently I've been exploring Wise audio implementation. With the thing I did was set up.
Awesome. This is so good. Like the fact that you can, if I'm trying to see whether you've got implementation chops, I will know by the end of looking through all of this. So excellent stuff. There's so much here as well. Wow, you've really put in loads of work. I like as well how the black and white is kind of splitting it into different sections. Great choice here. Good stuff. Game jams. Yep. I like that you've put it on a separate tab as well. This is useful. That way I can see you're involved in the community, or you're actively trying to gain experience doing not just redesigns, but also actual gameplay integration and everything. So that's fantastic. And it's also really good that it's on a separate tab, that you have the itch thing here and the video. So really, really well done. This is really good presentation right here. And as a employer or looking to hire, really the way you've laid this out is, it's all green flags for me. This is really good, and it shows that you know what you're doing, who your aim is at. I can see your sound stuff, I can see your implementation stuff, your community involvement, all of that. Fantastic work. I also like, see, okay, so it's interesting because I actually personally, I think going back to Charlie, your portfolio, I would actually say leave out the skills bit, because I think the skills is more something that you almost prove through your reel and your work rather than write down. And your skills belong more on your CV in that case. And I like this, for example, favorite games and stuff, because it shows then a little bit more personality, and that's an important thing for hiring as well. And then you want to showcase your skills and the things you've done. So I don't want to compare anything, but like the way you've laid this out, George, is great, where you have like, here's my proof that I can do stuff in Unity and that I can do stuff in Unreal. You don't have like just saying Unreal, but like, here's the proof. And yeah, so little thing to copy there, maybe Charlie, where you can get rid of that section and add more of the descriptions below and kind of make it clear, so that it's like, here's my implementation work, here's my sound work. That's how I can prove it. CV as well. I guess this is just, yeah, brilliant. Good stuff. Clean. And yeah, here we go. So this is the software skills side. There's more focus on that. Anyway, let's look at your reel. Sorry, it keeps reverting to bad quality. Nice. Yeah. I like the way you've got like still some sounds here while it's rolling off. The way you get straight into the realism. Your name later. That's really nice. Overall, everything that's in there sounds really, really good. Main thing is just some more details. So yeah, we've got loads of spit and stuff coming out. So I would love to hear this as way more wet. And it looks like, is this like fire lava? I'm not sure. But basically, we are pretty close. We are very intimate in the space of this creature. I'd love to hear more details. So maybe some, yeah, like spittle and all of that kind of stuff around it. Also in terms of the sounds. Here, for example, again, sounds really cool, but we've got no impact. So I would love to hear the impact sounds here, fleshy impacts and stuff like that. Maybe some growls and screams in the distance from the other creatures, stuff like that. And then here, this is pretty long. I would just make this shorter. You don't need to spend too much time on this. Foley is excellent here. I'm missing a couple of these whooshes, like here. Okay, there's a whoosh, but from like the movement, but not really from the sword. I'd love to hear more of a. And then we're not hearing a lot of impact sounds. And my internet is dying. Sorry about that. Cool, yeah. So here, the biggest things are, I'd love to hear more sword action. So more impact sounds on the different things. So ting, 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 tsh. And when he stabs into the throat, really like a make it a really big moment, because at the moment it's kind of small and it sounds probably more realistic as it would in real life. but we want to make those moments really big and exciting and impactful. So making adding as well like stingers and cinematic elements to those, like a burn or like a sub drops, all of that stuff just really heightens the tension and makes it super exciting. So more of that non-diegetic stuff, which means stuff that's not in the scene, so stingers and things like that, and then just more details and those impacts, those transients that I'm looking out for. Your Foley work is great though. Nice, this is cool. I think the main thing here, there's a lot of like noisy layers in there in the midsection, especially at the start. Yeah, so I would love to hear those sounds with a bit more high end and detail, because at the moment there's this back layer that's kind of mudding it up a little bit, around probably like 300 hertz, as well as like in the lower yeah, the medium mids, so 300, and then again like probably 1,000, 2,000, something like that. So just check your layers and get some extra detail into those other layers, as well as kind of like enforce those transients when he's doing something to make it really sharp and clear. I would leave this clip out. You've got so much about the implementation stuff. It's not really showcasing much sound design, so I would just get rid of this. But the transition is very cool. I'll give you that. That's a super nice transition. Sweet. I'd love to hear a bit more bow here and a bit more Foley. Nice, yeah. And maybe on that last one, a bit more like you've got those rock crumbles. They're very mid-endy. It would be cool to hear more debris and gravel and stuff like that in the higher frequencies. So I think overall, it's also just bring more stuff, more detail into the higher frequencies as well. I think the entire soundscape will really benefit from that. Overall, though, again, great reel. You've got really nice timing there. The website is incredible, so amazing job on that. It's just about adding some more details, enforcing those transients, and adding some non-diegetic sound design layers in there, which again is like cinematic. So those whooshes, those brams, those like sub drops that you often see in trailers, we can use them as well to build tension and make things more exciting. Nice. Then we have Miguel Neves. Probably pronounced it wrong. Audio designer and field recordist. Very nice. Usually it's composer, so that's pretty cool to have some field recordists. Showreels as well, very cool. I think straight up here though, I don't know which one is which. I can obviously use my brain and say, oh, it's implementation. But it'd be really neat if the thumbnails were redesign or sound design and implementation showreel, or just some text underneath it to be able to tell what it is. Games as well. I assume these are games you've worked on. That's really cool. I would love to. Okay, it opens a totally new tab on itch. So it would be great is to have a little subtext underneath here saying what it is and what you've worked on. And then it opens in a new tab. Cool. Testimonials. Nice. Good stuff. Then portfolio. Yeah, nice. So here again, I would just put little headlines or something, just as it's I can obviously see these videos, but it would be really cool to know, what is this? Is this a... Oh, and it's been me. Okay, hopefully it'll load. Yeah, load. So yeah, it would be really good to... We've got obviously here the title, Little Nightmares redesign. Would be great to have it up here or underneath to just be able to tell immediately what it is. Same with technical stuff, but all in all, really nice that you've got all of this different things in here. CV, okay, cool, opens on a separate page. Then the about section. Yeah, nice. I'm not gonna read through all of this right now, but that looks good. You've got pictures as well. This is cool. The compilation, all good. Sound libraries as well. A Muay Thai class, excellent. And Italy trip, yeah, that's cool. Again, would be cool to just give a little bit more info. Like, what is this? Is this ambiences? Is this, are we kicking pads? What is it? So just being able to add some more information to these would be really, really useful. I would also say, in terms of order, probably you'd want to have the CV at the very end. Not that it's super important, but just from like navigating through it, I'd be more interested in the about section. What you could even do is you could even add the about section to the home. Oh, it's here. My bad. Yeah, ignore me. So yeah, I clearly didn't scroll far enough. So yeah, this is good. Excellent. Showreel. Let's dive in. Nice. Great stuff. So basically, a couple of small things. So before we get into it, I like the way that you've just started out with this and then just brought it over. That's also a really nice way to do it. Little Nightmares 2 redesign. This is good. Main thing is you're missing the company who made this. Will always be nice to add the company. And then, yeah, redesign is good. This clip is incredibly long. I felt like, when is it going to finish? And I want to see like the next thing. So personally, I would cut this clip way down, only include like the end bits of it. About here. That's the most interesting section to me. And then cut the rest and put in another clip that's more exciting. And then put this clip maybe in the middle or at the end. Just because it's a cool sound design, but it's not showcasing loads. Meanwhile, the Last of Us clip, excellent. This is really showcasing a whole breadth of your experience and your skills. So I put that at the start. I think that clip is amazing. It's really, really good. And then the last clip is great as well. But yeah, I would shorten this and replace it with another one, or potentially even replace it entirely. Although I think like the last. Yeah, cool. So, the other thing here is, because we're running out of time, what I'm noticing in general is your mix is super compressed and it feels like there's a really big hole in like the mid. So you've kind of scooped out, it sounds like everything from between like 300 to 600 hertz or something. And there's like a gap there now. So I would just here as well, all this is like all the max compression kind of, it's all struggling and competing. So I would just say chill on the compression side, do a bit more volume automation and balancing between the sound effects so that you don't have to rely on compression so hard. This goes like for all 3 clips. And then I think that you'll have a way easier time mixing stuff as well, because there won't be like fighting and competing and all be maxed out. And then use. But other than that, like, this clip is awesome. It's really, really good. Then at the end here, so this, for example, here we've got like a kick missing. I would love to hear more impactful stuff on that, especially in the mid end. So we're getting a lot of like ting ting. Again, I'd love to hear more mid end stuff. And I know it's very meta right now to kind of like cut the mids and stuff, but I think bringing in some more material that's a bit more almost boxy sounding in this case, in the context of your mix, will really help round the whole thing out and give you a fuller frequency response and just like a cleaner mix overall. But yeah, man, this is really cool. And overall, like the reel is really good. And like I said, just cut the start, put in a different clip, rearrange it a little bit to have the more exciting things in there. And yeah, you're good to go. Very, very nice. So yeah, I think that's it for today in terms of reviews. If you want to have any more info or want to ask me more questions as well, please feel free to reach out on Airwiggles. That's the best place to find me. DM me. And like I said, post your stuff in the audio creations tab for feedback, space rather. You will get better, and sharing is always good. So yeah, I hope this was useful and enjoyable. And also, just a reminder again, doing the sprint in October. And yeah, hopefully, if you're interested in that, I feel like all the people that I've reviewed could definitely benefit from it. But totally up to you. Anyway, Jonas, take it away again.
No worries. No, you did a fantastic job of just start to finish, uninterrupted, nothing but a train journey of knowledge, and joy. Thank you so much for doing that. And thanks for everyone who submitted a portfolio during that event. There's been some really incredible stuff there. A particular highlight to me was I saw there was one project that was all about having a low blood glucose. Someone was looking at their phone and the world gets wobbly. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I just found that really profound and really interesting. So I'm definitely going to go check out that project as soon as this event is done. Now, a really big thing that I want to make sure that we get before anyone goes, don't go anywhere just yet. If you're part of this event and you're curious about this sprint course that we're doing, well, do we have something for you? Basically, for sort of attending this event, we've got, I believe, active for sort of the next 48 hours, actually, a little promo code that you can use. So the something to know about our sprint courses and almost everything that Intergames does is that we try and be financially accessible. So obviously there is a cost to running these things. There is a cost to all the tools and the admin and things like that. And so I believe the course at the moment is $199. That's the full price. But if you are watching today, then you can get that for 25% off, because what's that in the little scrolly down below me? There is now a code scrolling along the bottom of the screen. It is, if you need me to read it out, it is the words Greg Event and then the numerals 25. Greg Event 25, capital letters, all one word, no spaces. Greg Event 25. That will give you 25% off the price of the course. I believe with the courses as well, you can pay in monthly installments so that you can sort of make that cost sort of spread over a longer period of time. And just so that you're aware as well, if you are from a low income background or you have any sort of financial barriers that stop you taking part in the course, then when you head over to our website, our Sprint Courses website, And there are many different ways to get there. We have a page dedicated to affordability, which I believe you can find in the FAQ. So if you head over to that affordability page, then there are certain criteria upon which we can make the course basically just more affordable for you, so that you don't have to overcome those financial barriers, and hopefully eases certain financial burdens, allowing you to get the sort of the training that you need that can eventually get you into the industry. And as hopefully you've seen today, Greg knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about. So imagine, if you got all of that out of 1 hour, imagine what 3 weeks might do for you. So do go take a look if you're interested. I believe there should be a link to the course in the description down below, but it is being blasted on all of our socials. Check out the Intergames website, check out the Discord server, check out the LinkedIn page. You will be able to find your way there. I believe in you. I have utmost confidence in you, the viewer, that you can do that. But yeah, I think that's all we've really got to say at the moment. Greg, obviously you did a fantastic shout out not only to your communities and some resources that can be sort of grabbed onto earlier in the talk, but just, is there anything, completely free stage now? I'm going to give you a platform and you can say whatever you want on this platform. Is there anything that you just want to make sure you shout out, recommend, say before it's too late?
I think the only other thing is that I've got a book coming out in October, which is pretty exciting. It's kind of like, if I put it very simply, it's a self-help guide to getting into the games industry. It's all the things I wish I knew when I first started. I interviewed a bunch of professionals and a bunch of newcomers who've just made the jump or are in the transition and are now, after, because this was a 2-year process, have now gotten in. So it's really, it doesn't focus on the technical stuff. It focuses on all the things that usually remain unsaid, that kind of, you go into the job or you're in this world for a while and you realize like, oh, I wish I knew this earlier. I wish someone told me this stuff. And yeah, it covers kind of like all of that, including burnout, which is a big thing, especially when you're doing creative stuff. So again, also, and it covers feedback. There's a whole chapter on feedback, getting and receiving feedback. And I just want to say again, thank you for submitting your reels. Thank you for having them exposed on the internet to everyone and for me to judge and critique. I want to say all of these are amazing. They look really good. I am picking them apart, but the fact that you've, like, every single one was like really solid and better than mine when I started off by miles. So like, you're all killing it. And I just want to say, yeah, I'm nitpicking to make you better. And thank you so much for putting yourself out there. It's a really, really important skill to have, because we do this in teams. And yeah, anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. If you're interested in the book, you can find it. The pre-orders, I think, are available already at Pocket Mentor for Game Audio. It's currently, I haven't released this to the public yet, so this is actually kind of exclusive. So it says you get a discount code when you email. You do, but not yet. It's gonna be there hopefully later this month. But basically, feel free to pre-order. If not, it's gonna be out on the 24th of October, if all goes well. So yeah, thank you so much for coming and for listening to me for a very long time. And thank you so much, Jonas, for having me. And I hope I get to see a lot of you in the sprint in October. And yeah, it's going to be fun. I can tell you that much. And you're going to learn a lot.
Nice. No, thank you for joining us, Greg. Thank you for your time. Really looking forward to seeing how the course goes. Looking forward to seeing what magical systems people make alongside you. I think it's going to be absolutely gorgeous, and I'm going to have an earful, a real earful, when all of that work comes out and we get to share it in the Intergames Discord and celebrate it. One last shout out for the Discord community. If you're watching and you haven't already become a part of the Intergames community, you got to do it. You just got to do it. It's a great server. It's got some great people in it. Jump in and do some learning. Now, that's it. Thanks for joining us, everyone. If you're interested in what Into Games is up to, I'm sure we've got some events next week. I'm pretty sure we're doing a discipline deep dive for game designers, and we're doing a talk from Sam Scaith, who is one of the developers of Corpo Nation, a game that released, I believe, earlier this year or late last year. In the last year, certainly, published by Platonic Games. And Scam's going to talk a little bit about going from a hobbyist indie development to a full-time indie dev and what that transition was like. So I'm sure really relative to people who are looking to get their foot in the door and have basically decided to just take it upon themselves. Check those talks out next week and see you all then. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Bye-bye for now as I click end.